How y'all doing, family? It's your boyhood, Willing and Able, and I have a very, very special guest today. I have Mr. Jeremy Butler, who first time is on the pod. So introduce yourself, Mr. Butler.
Man, what's going on? Thank you for having me on, man. I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about. I appreciate it, man. My name is Jeremy Butler. A little bit about myself, man. I just recently retired from the NFL, do a lot of work with the youth. And, man, I'm excited to talk with my brother today. I think we got some great conversation to have.
Yes, sir, we do, we do. So my first question is, how
Yeah.
did you transition from playing in the NFL to helping the youth now?
So for me, I think my journey, like I think everything I went through to get to the NFL, it was blood, sweat, tears, everything. I wanted to quit at times, and I think all of that process and just I didn't really have the help and the mentoring and that OG to kind of guide me through. I was just kind of figuring it out on the fly, and I think I remembered all of that, and I just realized like, man, like if I can help any young kid achieve his dreams and make it a little bit easier for him or make it a smoother path, man, I'm gonna do my best to make it as easy as I can because it didn't have to be as hard as I had to get it.
That's real. That's definitely real. Cause even though me and you were talking about this outside of the camera, like it's crazy how like me and you grew up and we didn't really have that mentor or that person like, hey, go this way, do this step 1 through 5. We had to sit there and figure out like, hey man, okay, I messed up. Let me try this. Boom, I messed up again. All right, let me try this. And eventually we got it. Now we can pour back into the youth like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how I got to where I'm at, and this is the steps that you don't need to take that I took. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you realize that, man, cause a lot of people needs to hear that, especially the youth in this generation nowadays, man. They have really no role models at all. Well, they
Nah,
do, but they're not positive role models. I put it to you
there
like
you
that.
go. Yeah, it's a lot of
Hey,
role models on social media. That don't mean they positive.
yes, yes. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this pod now, because you came and spoke to my students and they enjoyed it. So they got that impact right there. So who else knows who can look at this video and be impacted, man? But
Yeah.
my next question for you is, how did you find Christ, man?
Oh man. So before I go into that, I'm gonna ask you, man, like, you want the real?
I want the real, brother.
All right. So I grew up. I grew up in the church. Man, you already know in Florida, grandma don't play. You going to church. If you at grandma's house, you going to church, you in the front row. And so I grew up in it, but it wasn't until I got to college, man, one of my boys, like, he asked me, he said, why you believe in that? And it wasn't rude, but it was like, why? Like, why do you believe in it? And I didn't really have an answer. I only knew it because I was raised in it. And so I went on like a deep dive of just studying. Like I studied like all religions. I studied everything. I was trying to prove the Bible wrong at one point. Like, man, I don't know. I don't think it's true. And so that deep dive, I just kept finding more and more truth that the Bible is true. These people in the Bible are real. These are real historical events. And I'm like, man, the more I try to like prove it wrong, I'm finding it is right. And everything I look in is like everything points back to Christ. Christ is the way. Christ is the ultimate teacher. Christ walked this earth. And when I retired, I went through like a real like transition of like identity crisis, so to say. Man, I ain't had football no more. I ain't had my baby. So I'm like trying to figure out who am I, man? Like what am I gonna do and be like? And I just remember one day going into a closet, like I just couldn't carry that burden no more by myself, and I just kind of like broke down. And I just gave it all to God, but I asked Christ to come into my life for real, like on some, you really real, like I need you, I come, like be with me, like I need help, I need guidance, I need wisdom, I need support. And man, I'll never forget that feeling, like just that burden coming off of me, breaking down. I'm in the closet, snotty nose and everything, but it was just real. Like I thought people used to be faking when they did that. But when I had that real experience with Christ, that heart to heart,
That's what's up. I'm glad that you found Christ, man.
yeah,
Especially, in this day and age with a lot. We just gotta do our job too and get more people, out there like, hey, this is Christ, this is what he offered. But it's crazy because you mentioned the point, you was like, you try to deny the Bible. And I remember it was a dude, he made a movie trying to denounce like the Bible, just like you was, he ended up
yeah,
finding like everything is back to God, like you were saying. So like even like today, man, what my great grandma and the old people used to say, like that come from the Bible, like all this
yeah,
stuff happening now, it's biblical. It happened before, it just in another form. And I'm like, bro, everything really goes back to the Bible. You look in the church now, it's not admission to surrender to God because especially if you want to get
100%.
married. you gotta lead that person, man. You can't just sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm the big person. I control everything." No, you gotta have that intimate relationship with God, y'all. You got to. Him in the room in the closet, snotty nose. That what it take, man. Like me, I had to go to man. I went to a conference a year ago, I think it was. Start boo crying on the floor, and I'm talking about before then, I haven't cried in like 10, 12 years before that, and I
Man,
just broke down crying. I just was like, whoa, I'm talking about speaking in tongue, everything, bro. I was like,
it's just
that's
like
crazy.
something
So
in you get unlocked, man.
yes, you, man, what you gonna have to experience yourself, man. Y'all get that relationship with God, and your eyes will open up. You'll see everything is like literally spiritual, and you'll see God and everything for real. But
Yeah.
how do you actually impact people and lead them to Christ?
So how I do it is like my grandma say, she got this saying, man, it's so funny. I was can't believe I'm saying it now, but you gotta hide the medicine and the candy. And so
Mm,
I realized that similar to what Christ did, man, you can't just come up to people in Romans 9:23 or Proverbs 13:2. Like people don't really respond to that. But like just like Christ, like if I serve you, I show you love, I carry myself the right way. Like you said, when you look out in the world and see how crazy stuff is, people are looking for wisdom. They're looking for, healing. They're looking for joy. They're looking for like genuine love and like just genuine, like vulnerable, like connections. Like they're looking for all these things. And when you carry yourself like that and when you just genuine and trying to serve people and be there for them, they kind of like, that's what pull them in. They go to ask them questions like, man, what? You always so calm, or you always got the right answer, or man, you so wise, or how like, or man, you just so everything seems like it's going smooth for you. Like, what you do? And that'd be my moment, like, man, bro, ever since I got in this book and I just do what this book say do, and I pray about everything and I just trust the wisdom in this book, it just work out. And like, so that's kind of how I do it with like, I just be myself and people start to kind of like see my energy, see how I carry myself, see how I move, see things working in my life. Like, oh, something different about dude, man. Like, what you do? And that's my moment to kind of like, man, hey, where Christ at the center of everything I do.
yeah, that's real. That's real. You definitely can't just go out and just blatantly be like, "Oh, you going to hell," because I believe like I'm serious, man. I believe like that's turned a lot of people away from Christ for real.
Yeah,
I ain't talking about nobody, but like the old generation used to do that for real. They be like, "Oh, you going to hell," and I
they
was like,
hard on you.
hey, when you think about it, that's really messed up. You walk up to a person and be like, "You going to hell," but you gotta do like you said. You gotta show it. You can't just, especially with my generation, you gotta show them. You just can't walk up to nobody and say that. You gotta be like, just living your life like Christ, and then they'll probably
Yeah,
walk up to you and just be like, "Man, how do you glow like that? How do you just take stuff and don't even worry about it?" And you be like, "Ah, got you. So this is why,
gotcha.
this is why, this is why." You can't just go out and just blatantly tell people like, "Oh, you got to believe in this God," because they'll be like, they'll look at you. It's sad to say this, but you got to be a representation of God. So if people look at you and think like, "Oh, he's stuck up X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z," they're gonna think God looks like that. When
Yeah,
that's not God, that's people. Like that's why a lot of people get church hurt and don't go back to church. But I had to learn. I never got church hurt, thank God. But I had to learn like it's not the people. It's not God. It's the people. So you still
yeah,
gotta get back to having that relationship with God. You still gotta have that relationship with God, y'all. So
yeah,
yeah. So
man. Because that's real, man. Like one of the points you made is like important, bro. It's like people see you, like they don't see God, they see you. And especially when you say you're a believer in Christ, man, like they waiting on you to mess up. Like they waiting, like people, like this is how we are. Like it's our nature. Like they waiting on you to make a mistake. So now they can be like, oh, that's why I ain't going to church. Or that's why I don't believe in God because of how you act. So people waiting on an excuse, man. Like, and that's why it's so hard sometimes. But you, like you said, you got to be an ambassador, representative. Like, and it don't matter what you got. Like I noticed this too, like from business, like in sales. It don't matter if I got the best thing in the world for you. I can't just come up to you and say I got this for sale. But if I see, hey, what's going on with you? Like, man, what issues you may be dealing with? You know what I mean? Like that's how you learn to give people what they need by serving them or where they hurting at. And so like I said, going back to Christ, he had salvation. Like he had the best thing your soul needed, like for you, eternal salvation. And he wasn't walking around saying, hey, I got salvation, come get it. Like he had to genuinely go and heal the blind person. He had to go feed the homeless. He had to go heal the person with the broken legs or whatever. He had to go serve them where they was at first. And after he served them, then they was like, Okay, I trust you, man. Who are you? Man, I'm Christ, and I came to do this, and I got this for you. Okay, I want some of that because I believe you. You served me. So that's kind of how I got to be, like, serve people, and then they'll allow you to teach them about Christ. But if you just come, like, you going to hell, you sinning, man, people going to go the other way every time.
That's real. That's definitely real. So how did you know, or when did you know that you was doing God's purpose for your life?
To be honest, since I've been in Christ and in the Word, I see a lot of like overlap throughout my like life where it's like I thought I was doing what I wanted to do, but I see, oh God, like that bro, he's smooth. Like pin game undefeated. Like I thought I was doing what I wanted to do. Whole time it came full circle. Like for example, like to answer the question, like I don't think I'm always like trying to. It's like a balancing beam. I'm always trying to make sure I'm walking in His purpose. Because sometimes I step outside of it. Sometimes I'll get like off my mark, but it's always trying to get back to His purpose. You know what I mean? So to answer that, I really never know. Like when I'm on or off it, I just do my best to stay on it. And I know He'll correct me when I step off of it. So it's like it's always like a continuous act of trying to stay on it. But I do believe, like for me specifically, at the end of the day, it's serving. Like it's how can I glorify Him through using my NFL platform? Like how can I glorify Him in my business? How can I glorify Him in my with my wife? How I treat her, being a father, my friends, people like yourself, my friends that I meet and network with. As I meet new people, how am I like giving glory to God? Like how am I pointing them to God? And so for me, long as I'm doing that, I feel like I'm walking in His purpose, and everything else He just order it, and I just trust it.
That's real. That's real. So you mentioned your wife and your kids. How is it being a dad and a husband?
Ooh, look, I'm gonna tell you something real. Boy, you think going to the NFL is work? You think going and playing in the NFL is work? Being married and being a father is work. And I learned this from the Bible. What you go through, like it changes you in a way to where it's like you have to like evolve. You know what I mean? So I thought marriage was about me coming in, okay, I'm gonna be this way and y'all gonna follow my lead. And it's like, no, man, your kids and your wife, they challenge you, they test you in good ways. Like they hold you accountable. You got to be transparent. Like you have to evolve. And what I realized is I was selfish. I had a big ego. Like it was all about me and what I thought things should be. I didn't really know how to serve, and I didn't really even know how to like receive love. Like all these things I thought like I'm thinking I'm good on. My wife and my kids show me every day, like, nah, you have to grow in these areas. You have to learn how to serve. You have to learn how to, let them kind of give me advice and let them teach me certain things. You know what I mean? So I had to really break down who I thought I had to be. And now like God showing me through my wife and kids, like, oh, it's so much more as a man I got to grow and so much more as a husband. So they really bring the best out of me.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. That man said it was harder than the NFL.
Well, right, it's work. I'm talking about it's because you can't just force them to do what you want them to do. It's like you have to genuinely learn how to communicate, learn how to be sincere, learn how to be patient. My kids ain't gonna always get it right. Like even with my wife, we have to communicate. I may not see it this way, but that don't mean I'm right. So I let like, hey, point me where I'm wrong at. Call me out. So yeah, it's work.
That's real. I ain't gonna lie. I needed to hear that as a
Yeah.
single brother. I needed to hear that. So I know that part is gonna help somebody for real.
It
You
make
definitely
you
take your advice.
oh yeah, and it's work, but I gotta say this too, because I know most people like we run from work. It's work, but it makes you so much better. Like for the most part, like when I work with kids, like the things I'm doing in business, the way I am in like my relationship with Christ, all these different things, everything that people see on the outside and be like, oh man, you got it going on. I'm like, bruh, it's my wife and my kids, like they keep me grounded, they keep me like genuine, and they keep me working because like I got a wife and kids I gotta lead. I got a wife and kids I'm accountable to. So they make me a better man, like in a way that I couldn't do on my own.
That's real. That's real, man. But my next question for you is, what is your willing and able moment? Basically, what I'm asking you today is, what moment happened in your life that made you realize, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is how I need to do it?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I would say somewhere, it wasn't a specific moment, but it was somewhere in between like retiring, like getting married, and we was bringing in like my third child, my daughter, my baby girl, Jael. So it was in between like that transition, like I'm retired. Trying to figure out, okay, what my next career gonna be. I'm in the entrepreneurship lane. Like, okay, I got to make this work. I can't. That football money ain't coming in no more. So it was that being married, having 2 kids already. Then my baby girl was coming. I'm like, who I was as an athlete, like how I carried myself, and I like I got to let that go. Like that ain't working no more. Like I can't catch a ball no more. I can't like my speed and my athletic ability ain't paying bills no more. That ain't making me be a better man in the house no more. I had to really understand, like, nah, man, like I need help. I can't do it the way I've been doing it. And that's when I started seeking therapy. That's when I started going back to the gym because I wasn't even working out no more. I'm thinking I'm always be this fit. Like, nah, like I had to go to the gym. I had to eat different. Like people are dying, like from health issues, young people. So I'm like, okay, man, like I gotta grow up. You know what I mean? And that's when I really kind of like realized I'm gonna do everything as best as I can to what the Bible say, and I'm gonna live with the consequences. I can trust God. You know what I mean? Because obviously everything I've been doing up to this point, it ain't working. You know what I mean? Like it's not working no more. Like what I used to do as a college kid, that's not working as a father. How I used to be in high school, that's not working as a husband. Like what I used to do for a living in the NFL, that ain't paying the bills no more. Like that whole identity is done with. You got to grow, bro. Like something got to change. So that was that moment for me.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Like you mentioned, like even taking care of yourself and watching what you eat plays a big role into what you're gonna become. Like at the end of the day, we gotta remember that this is God's temple. Like
Oh
this
yeah,
ain't even our temple. Like we have to definitely make sure we eat well. Like you mentioned, like it's a lot of people in our age range, like dying, like from
oh yeah.
diabetes, all type of diseases, man. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is you gotta take care of your temple. You
You
gotta
got to.
take care of that temple because you can be on the road to doing what God has for you to do, but your body just falling all types apart. You know what I'm saying? So definitely do that. My last question for
Yeah,
you
man.
today, Mr. Butler, is if you can give advice to your younger self or a younger person, what would advice would you give them?
So to my younger self, to my younger self, I go younger self and to another young person because they might be in a different spot. But to my younger self, I would say trust yourself. I think when I was young, man, I had a lot of insecurities. You know, I didn't grow up with my father. So like for me, everything was trial and error, like trial and error and seeing what the cool popular kids was doing and kind of like learning who I was. And so I grew up insecure. And I think a lot of things that I wanted to do, everything that I'm doing now, like I always knew I was going to be in this lane, but I was insecure about it. So I wouldn't speak on it in college. I wouldn't share and network when I was in the league, when I had a great opportunity to network, when I was in high school. I wouldn't focus on what I wanted to do. I was trying to make sure I was doing what generally was cool by everybody. And I feel like I may have wasted time. I feel like I may have like didn't form relationships with people I should have. And I just feel like I had like a lot of hurt and a lot of like pain and like mistakes I made from trying to do what other people was doing. So I would just say trust yourself and believe what was in you when you was young. Like, man, you that whatever God put in your heart, he trusted you with it. So trust yourself. So that's what I'll say to myself. To younger people, I would say I've touched my dream. I'm working on my second one now. I've climbed that first mountain in my life, going to the NFL. I said I was going to do it since I was a kid. And so speaking on the other side of that is I would say nothing you do in this world or nothing you do in life is more important than just being a good person. Like I thought making a lot of money and making it to the NFL was what success was, but I got to that and everything that I was running from still was there. I was still insecure. Like money wasn't fixing the things that was broken before I got the money. I still didn't know how to like, form good relationships or be in a relationship. Like I still like didn't forgive my dad at that stage. So it was still things that I thought success would fix. Success don't fix none of that. And it actually like run you crazy. But so my advice to young people, man, is the most successful thing you can do is just do the work to become a good person mentally, physically, spiritually, relationships, love yourself, love people. Just make sure you can do the best you can in being successful at being a good person. That will allow you to be successful making money, your career, wherever. Like if you not okay, there's nothing in this world you can bring into your life that's gonna make you feel better. So take care of your temple first. Like William said, man, take care of your temple, mind, body, and spirit first, then go out in the world and be successful.
Well, I want to thank you, my brother, for coming out to the Willing and Able show. Definitely need to have you back soon. But again, thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed, positive, productive day. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace out, man. I appreciate you.